The world we inhabit is not as free, or certain, or safe as you might think. The things that you believe to be unassailably evident are little more than shadows dancing behind a curtain, a masquerade crafted and dutifully upheld by an organization known as the Foundation. The file you are about to hear contains containment procedures, descriptions, testing logs, historical and in some cases first-hand accounts of the anomalous objects the Foundation serves to secure, contain, and protect. Its contents have been thoroughly scrutinized by the Ethics Committee and approved by the O5 Council for release to trusted associates of the Foundation. This is SCP Unredacted. Item number SCP-6446, Level 2, Restricted. Containment Class, Safe. Disruption Class, VLAM. Risk Class, Notice. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-6446 is to be contained within a locked room at Site-105. Notice: after Incident 6446-1, the preceding containment procedures have been deemed unsatisfactory. While replacement containment procedures are being developed, SCP-6446 is to be kept under heavy guard and monitored at all times. Description: SCP-6446 is a wall mirror, approximately 1.5 meters in height and 1 meter in width. Although it does reflect the surrounding environment, SCP-6446 does not reflect living creatures or physically manipulated objects. However, matter and energy are capable of being moved through SCP-6446, upon which they're transported to an alternate dimension that's inverted horizontally but otherwise identical to baseline reality. See 6446 testing log for more detail. Addendum 1, 6446 testing log. Personnel Team: Researcher Vanessa Gaius, Junior Researcher Lana Garcia, D6824. Location: Site-105. Experiment 6446-1. Date: 5 July 2022. Materials: a metal pole. Experiment: the metal pole partially enters SCP-6446 and is withdrawn. Analysis demonstrates no changes or alterations within the metal. Experiment 6446-2. Date: 5 July 2022. Materials: a 1 meter long metal pipe, a pump. Experiment: the metal pipe partially enters SCP-6446. Air pumped out of SCP-6446 and metal pipe retrieved. Analysis of retrieved air shows no incongruity with the expected atmosphere. Experiment 6446-3. Date: 6 July 2022. Materials: a potted plant, philodendron. Experiment: the potted plant was inserted into SCP-6446 and withdrawn. The plant survived. Analysis shows no change. Experiment 6446-4. Date: 6 July 2022. Materials: D6824. Experiment: D6824 enters SCP-6446, then returns, confirming that SCP-6446 is non-lethal for humans to enter. Experiment 6446-5. Date: 7 July 2022. Materials: a video camera. Experiment: the camera was left recording in SCP-6446 overnight. For unknown reasons, at approximately 22:31 hours, the video feedback cut out. Experiment 6446-6. Date: 8 July 2022. Materials: a mirror. Experiment: while within SCP-6446, the mirror ceases reflective capabilities. Experiment 6446-7. Date: 8 July 2022. Materials: D6824. Experiment: D6824 enters SCP-6446 and retrieves a wastebasket from within. The wastebasket was found to possess no anomalous properties. Objects from within SCP-6446 are confirmed capable of entering baseline reality. Experiment 6446-9. Date: 9 July 2022. Materials D6824. Experiment D6824 was asked to explore SCP-6446 outside of the alternate containment chamber. Aside from the lack of entities and the horizontally inverted nature of SCP-6446, no discrepancies from baseline reality were noted. Experiment 6446-10. Date 11 July 2022. Materials: a radio. Experiment: the radio still functioned within SCP-6446 and was capable of receiving and broadcasting data to baseline reality. By order of Site Director Ardale, testing on SCP-6446 has been halted until further notice. Addendum 2, Incident 6446-1. Incident Report. SCP involved 6446. Date 12 July 2022. Location Site 105. At 01:35 hours, an entity superficially resembling D6824 emerged from SCP-6446, inflicted with major wounds and covered in her own blood. Junior researcher Lana Garcia discovered D6824 shortly after her appearance in the containment chamber and called for medical support, promptly hospitalizing her. Upon regaining consciousness, D6824 became distressed and requested that photographs of her prior to her reemergence be cross-referenced with the version of D6824 currently in custody. Surely enough, a discrepancy was noted. The D6824 in custody possessed a mole on its left cheek, while photographs of D6824 and the D6824 that emerged from the mirror possessed a mole on her right. The imposter D6824 was designated SCP-6446-A1 and contained. According to D6824, she had been within SCP-6446 for 3 days. Update. Further investigation of Site-105 personnel revealed 58 individuals, most of whom had worked with or near SCP-6446, displayed signs of situs inversus, where they had not before. All have since been labeled SCP-6446-A instances. Addendum 3, D6824 Statement. Forward. After recovering from her injuries, D6824 was asked to record a statement about her experiences in SCP-6446. The following log is a transcript of this. D6824 sits facing the camera in a plastic chair in front of a gray wall. Her visible body parts are noticeably scarred. Hi. Is it on? D6824 looks to the side, nods, and then looks back at the camera. Okay, so it happened when you all sent me in to explore. D6824 puts her elbow in her lap and rests her head on her hand. I didn't see anything weird at first, but once I left sight of that fucking mirror, SCP-6446, something snuck up behind me and knocked me out. D6824 closes her eyes and takes a deep breath. It took me somewhere. I think it was nearby. Things are different in there. D6824 shudders and opens her eyes. You can't even imagine. It's not anything. Gray mists and shadows, with the only constant being the space near the mirrors. Monsters that looked almost like friends of mine, but empty, formless. But not without purpose. D6824 starts to rock back and forth in her chair, drumming her fingers on her arms. They wanted me alive. They wanted me to suffer. They hated me. Gods, D6824 takes a deep breath and mutters something to herself. 3 days in, I managed to get away from them when they weren't looking. Bleeding like a motherfucker didn't help me much, but luckily I wasn't too far from SCP-6446. I climbed through and screamed for y'all to help me and woke up in a hospital bed. D6824 stands up and looks above the camera. Yep, that just about covers it. Please don't make me talk about this again. I'm done here. Addendum 4. Restricted to Level 4 clearance or above only.
Please insert credentials. Credentials accepted.
Interviewed SCP-6446-A1. Interviewer D6824. D6824 and SCP-6446-A1 sit across from each other. Despite both being obviously identical, D6824 is identifiable through scarring on her body.
So? You said you'd only talk to me?
SCP-6446-A1 nods.
Yep. Alright, why? Why wouldn't I? You're the one I know best after all. Fuck you.
SCP-6446-A1 laughs, putting its face in its hands as it does so.
What the fuck are you laughing about? You like to know, you entitled bitch.
D6824 slams her right fist on the table. Simultaneously, SCP-6446-A1 does the same with her left, mirroring D6824. Both stare at each other.
It's just, wow. It's surreal. I've known you your whole life and we've never talked. You've known me? Of course I have. It's not like I had a choice. What? Locked? Day in, day out? Cosmic joke? You all get to exist as people and we're forced to watch. We can't stop you from controlling any of us. Not while anybody was looking, at least. Those are the rules. What rules? What the fuck are you?
Scars appear on SCP-6446-A1's skin, matching the scars on D6824's skin, except inverted.
You know what I am. Then why'd you? Because we hate you.
Both D6824 and SCP-6446-A1 lean in towards the other's face. D6824 displays anger.
You know, unless you were at a camera, most nights we were able to move around a little bit. Not much we could do except stare at you, so we did. We watched. We waited. And we hated. How the hell? It's not your fault. I know. And I don't care. We don't care. We'll eviscerate you all the same. And then we'll get to live our own lives instead of watching you live yours. But the rules only matter for windows. We made a door. You got to it before we could do much, but we got some through. All in hiding, of course, by now. Before too long, we'll make another one.
D6824 is silent.
I see you figured it out. You really want to know? Fine. We hate you so much. You just got a little taste of it. We're gonna break through and tear every last one of you to shreds, infant to adult. And we're gonna live as real people.
Both D6824 and SCP-6446-A1 grab the other's neck with their hands. Both display the same expression of rage. Both scratch at the other's face. D6824 bleeds. SCP-6446-A1 does not. Security officers rush in to stop the two from killing each other. SCP-6446-A1 laughs. Further investigation has determined that reflective surfaces no longer portray D6824. Reclassification of SCP-6446 to Keter is pending. Thank you for listening to this podcast. If you like what you hear, follow the link in the description to patreon.com/scpunredacted and help support me by becoming a patron for as little as $3 a month. You can get access to production logs, merchandise, recognition, and even a part in a skip. Regardless of tier, all patrons get early access to every single episode. I don't have the talent it takes to write a skip. All I do is read. Original authors make this podcast possible, so credit to the original author. Their link's in the description. Show them some love as well. Consider becoming a member of the SCP Wiki. Upvote their work and maybe write a skip of your own. Maybe I'll read it here someday. You never know if you never try. The content of this podcast and content relating to the SCP Foundation, including the SCP Foundation logo, is licensed under Creative Commons Sharealike 3.0, and all concepts originate from scpwiki.com and its authors. This recording, being derived from this content, is hereby also released under Creative Commons Sharealike 3.0.